Hello, Michelle and Chantel. This is your one-on-one awesome video critique. I wanted to show you guys what I just finished doing. These are my little boys, and we got caught in a torrential downpour. Oh, I'm currently soaking wet still, but I will do the video critiques first. Go ahead and start with you, Michelle, since I actually already kind of gave you a critique on your draft that you submitted. I graded you on the submission and gave you some tips there because I didn't realize you also were going to be emailing this over. So yours should be relatively straightforward. One of the things I had mentioned is I don't love this. It looks a little like wedding mint green, you know, those old like candies with the sugar dots on them that they used to have at weddings in the 80s. This really reminds me of that color, or like the Valentine's mints. So I would try to find something maybe like this color, play around with these greens, this blue if you want this same saturation. But it just looks kind of odd to have that like real saturated springy color. I don't know if perfectly well with this. So that's the first thing I would mention. I think you did a good job with your typography choices. If you're going to have this be a box, I would probably move it over a little bit so it doesn't bump right up against the edge, or I would pull it off even a little bit further and have it look like it's a banner going off the side of the page. So if you're going to have it actually be a box, it needs a little bit of space. If you want it to have an open shape, then it can flow off the page like you did. And let's see, another thing is before you do the final submission, just make sure you have this full page. You don't need to show your margins and your guides or anything, your rulers. Those lines don't need to be there. So make sure you take away those before you submit it. Let's see, can I scroll over? This so I can look at both sides. Let me download it super quick. Let me see if there's anything else. Oh, one thing I remember is I'm assuming these are just placeholders and you are going to actually be inserting those cool shapes that you had up above. Something else I remembered was this. Something looks like odd. Is this, I guess this is just the camera strap and it's blurred. At first I had thought this was her hair, but if you got the image and it looked like that already, I'm okay with it. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't some weird copy pasting. It larger, I'm pretty sure that's just the camera strap and that's why it looks different. But when I was looking at it small, it was a little confusing. And then like here, make sure you add a little bit more space between your subtitle and then your body. See how you have such a wide gap between these two sentences as opposed to a gap between your headline and your body copy. So you want to go in and you want to play around with the spacing between these two lines, decrease it, and then you can space between this line and the next one. Okay, but besides that, it's looking really good. I like it. I really like your contrasting typefaces look really good. Let me see if I can pull this up super quick. Okay, there we go. Let me just run through it. Oh, and I do think these words are a little too close to your image. Okay, you're going to want to give yourself a little bit more of a buffer and maybe a little bit more over here too. You could do a longer, taller, a little bit thinner column because you never want to have your words right up against the edge of your images. Besides that, it's looking really good. I don't think, oh, make sure you have your hyphens turned off. Graph hyphens is turned on. That's just something you want to have in every instance is hyphens turned off. And then you look like you have a little something weird, like this is really big compared to this. So just make sure you're consistent on your typeface sizes and your heading sizes, okay? But I love your image. Your new image is looking really good. I like it a lot so far. Your overall layout for your slides is really solid, only one L in alignment. Just a few final things, fine tuning, and then itself really the only thing is probably what you're already planning on doing, putting in these cool little features over here instead of the random eye. Good. I think that's it for you, Michelle, right? Yes. Okay, your next one is Chantel. And let's see. Trying to figure out exactly what this question is asking me. When I turn in my final draft, do I need to turn in an edited slideshow thing from InDesign? Your final draft will include a slideshow. So yes, if that's what you're asking, your slideshow needs to be updated. Final draft of your ad, and that is what next week you're going to create a video of you presenting your slideshow with your final ad. So hopefully that answers your question. Let's go ahead and take a look at your design, and I'm going to go ahead and download it just right now too. It full screen instead of small. First of all, I like your contrasting fonts as well. This is the forest, so that's great. And make sure you don't have any awkward spacing. See how this image doesn't quite match up with your shape. There's this weird gap here. So make sure that that's eliminated, that they just brush right up against each other. Okay, let me take a look. Larger. Okay, so you have, looks like you have 3 fonts here. So this is like a kind of older looking, this is obviously a sans serif, and then you have a decorative font right here. So I would make sure you eliminate it down to 2 contrasting fonts. I'd probably get rid of this one right here and maybe swap it out for this, or because I think I've seen this around. I like how you have these 3 words bolded. That looks really nice. Okay, so play around with that. I would recommend probably having this gray go all the way off the edge of the page instead of having this white border. That'll just allow your eye to focus on the things that are most important instead of kind of trapping your white space, which is actually gray. This white border is trapping your gray space. So in other words, you're trapping your white space with a border. So I'd probably get rid of that so it'll look a little bit more contemporary, and see how this automatically looks more contemporary because you have that. You actually have something similar to Michelle's too. Your border bumps up right against the edge. So I'd recommend the same thing I did for her for a little bit. And so it's not flush against the edge, so it just kind of overlaps a little bit. That will also help it make it look a little bit more modern. This is called a tangent. When you have something your eye wants to look at that perfectly aligns with the edge of a page, it kind of creates a disparity. So it is a little bit problematic from a design perspective. And then just make sure these words are centered top to bottom based on your bottom here than you have on the top. So make sure that's perfectly centered in the vertical plane here. Okay. And then let's keep on looking. Your actual ad, this is a really fun ad that you selected. It definitely makes you do a double take. I like your lines. Those look really nice. The font you selected is good. Be sure to turn off your hyphens here. Okay, because there's a hyphen. Here's another one. You probably have those turned on page. So just make sure those are turned off. Then we have this again. This looks really good down here. I like that a lot. Awesome. That looks great. This. Pull this up a little bit. It's kind of pushing the edge for where you have it too close to the side of the page. Okay, so I pulled that up. Add. And this is where you said you're going to change it out for a different animal, I think. So I wonder what animal you're going to use. Okay, so you're going to change this, which is great. His leg did look a little bit weird here, maybe because it was like in the shadow. This font, I think that's the same font you had on your, and I would recommend switching that out for something different. It's just been used a lot, so I would go ahead and change it out for another serif that maybe something that you haven't seen that isn't a default. And then this looks really good. I like your B4x4 typography. Oh, did you make your own? Oh no, you just pulled that. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so you pulled the headline and made it a lot bigger. Kind of took inspiration for your font from this probably, which is cool. I'll tell you, I don't love this big, huge border that goes across the top. It would look more contemporary if you had perhaps like a sans serif, this, and if you want to keep it all in caps, that would look good. But if you just maybe align it down here, alter your nature B4x4, a cool little box of font here. Across the page, it's just something that looks a little bit dated. And so you'll notice in their original one, they really a lot of visual impact, and then the actual message is more understated, and you're trying to do something where you don't have it totally understated, which I think is cool to have a little bit variety, but I think maybe you made it a little bit too much here because B4x4 is really aggressive, so you can make this less aggressive and kind of tuck it in here so that's the part that you read. And then I think you're going to work on the image. I think this image, it does look a little bit to the vibrancy of the other one. So just work on that a little bit. And then here you have a widow, so make sure you don't have any widows. You can just pull that over a little bit. Cool, this is a good ending slide. Fun to have as your first slide, actually. Okay, so it's coming together, it's looking good. Just a few final things. Work on some typeface, just making sure you don't have any awkward spacing. And the final tweaks to your ad. Okay, so I think that's it. Thank you, ladies, for being interested in a video critique. I hope you guys have a great night. Bye.